How are you? Welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you made it. Today we're going to talk about the biography that I recently finished by Matthew Polly, and it is called Bruce Lee, A Life. And I knew nothing about Bruce Lee. I was looking for a little discipline in certain areas of my life, a little more tightening of a structure. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to Bruce. Bruce is going to tell me what to do. So I learned a little bit about Bruce. If you watch my other videos, you'll know I almost bought this book twice, but decided to do the Audible version. Once I did the Audible version, I got 5 chapters in and I knew this book had to be mine. So I made a special trip to the store to get it so I could follow along with the book and really so the book is on my shelf. So I had the self-satisfaction of knowing this book sits on my shelf with the rest of its brothers and sisters. This book starts off by telling us, obviously, as most memoirs do, Bruce's upbringing, about his siblings. He came from a rather large family, and his mother and father, and it was a very, very different time back then when Bruce was growing up in Hong Kong. Now, his father was an actor, and he starred in a movie that required his father to smoke opium for real. So his father became addicted to it, and then he actually acquired his own opium bed and had visitors come over and even taught his daughter how to light the pipe. Bruce was a boldie. His brother Peter was studious and the ideal child. He was a role model, academic. He was everything you would want your child and your student and your neighbor and your friend to be. Bruce was the total polar opposite. Bruce was a boldie. He didn't really care about school. He cared about graduating, but he didn't really care too much about grades. It was said that he was 10 years old and he can count to 10. Bruce was held back twice. Bruce loved to start trouble. He loved to start fights. He often carried knives and chains in his pocket because he knew one was going to break out on pretty much a daily basis. So he was covered. Well, no matter what Bruce's mother and father did, they couldn't seem to, tame him, keep him down. It was in his genetics. There was nothing they were going to be able to do about that. Bruce was the only one that was going to be able to do something about that. As Bruce got older, his parents decided the only way that they were going to take care of this matter is if they put him on a boat and shipped him over to the United States. And that's exactly what he did. And Bruce was so frightened to take this trip, but he did it. He persevered. And once he reached America, he actually opened up a martial arts studio. He took an interest in martial arts, I should say. And then not long after, he opened up a studio. But this wasn't a studio that you can just walk in off the street. You had to be referred to the studio from a friend that took martial arts because he wanted the person who he was going to be teaching to be serious about the craft. He did not want any fly-by-nights. We're going to do karate for 2-3 weeks, a month, and then we're going to quit. No, Bruce was not about that. We're going to stay dedicated to this art, and we are going to come out this winners. Well, Bruce also met several other people who were involved in the martial arts, Mike Stone, Chuck Norris. It seemed that in the 70s, karate was all the rave. They even came out with songs pertaining to karate. So it was a pretty big deal back then. Bruce also in Hong Kong starred in a couple movies. So in order to make ends meet, he thought he would try his hand again in Hollywood. He did land The Green Hornet, and in time he began to direct and star in his own movies. Enter the Dragon, and he had a specific way he wanted that done and specific things that he wanted in that, and he had to put up a little fight to get that, but in the end Bruce Lee won. He remained dedicated to his craft, and I like this story of Bruce Lee because he struggled. He struggled to find his way, and he converted himself so dramatically and so drastically from a boldy on the streets to somebody who gives a sound advice and to somebody you would actually want to take advice from. He actually got his head screwed on right, and I have to commend him for that. He did not die in the manner that I thought he did. I was totally shocked to find out how he actually did die. I think I got my wires crossed because, yeah, he definitely did not die the way that I thought he did. So it is a rather big book, but guess what? It's a page turner. I don't know if you're into biographies, autobiographies, memoirs, and such, but if you are looking for somebody to tap into, I would say Bruce Lee is definitely a good reference to, you know, grab a hold of and sit down and, explore. I had this book read in 3 days tops. Yeah, 3 days. I really, really like this book. I'm giving it 5 stars. It's definitely worthy of 5 stars. So after I read that book, I read the book his daughter, Shannon Lee, wrote, and this is The Teachings of Bruce Lee. This book goes on to tell us what Bruce Lee would think in his mind, what the mottos that he would quote, his way of thinking. And then it further elaborates his style and his method by explaining why he thinks this way. So I think this is a great companion book to Bruce Lee, and I think you will definitely learn a thing or two about calmness and peace and structure and discipline and wisdom. And I just think they're wonderful books. And I think that if you want to step outside of your box or travel a path, an alleyway that you haven't gone down before, take these two for a ride. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Until we meet again, know that I love you. Don't let those bad days win. And when you dream, make sure you're dreaming big.